Bonjour à vous tous.
Scenes. I am Isabel Humility. I am there today to present to you the Book of Genies and the Book of Immortality. The video is there for the people that have been there for a long time in the round of archangels, and maybe they didn't understand how to use the Book of Genies and the Book of Immortality. So I hope with this video you will be able to be motivated and clear to be able to use your Book of Genies and your Book of Immortality consciously. First, I will speak to you about the Book of Genies, and then I will compare it directly with the Book of Immortality. If not, I will explain how to use the Book of Genies, and then later on I will speak a little bit more about the Book of Immortality. The Book of Genies has as an objective to memorize the path, memorize all the steps that you're going to realize to develop your body of light. It's really an ally on the path. It's going to be written with the genies, meaning by your initiation, by the fact that you've entered into the realm of archangels and that you've made an engagement to work for the light. This Book of Genies has been consecrated in a temple by priests so that it can be consecrated and used as a tool of communications with the genies of the light. So when you use your Book of Genies, it is like a door of communication with the genies of the Essene nation, because you are in the realm of archangels. So it is in this objective that you use this book and not for any other magic. The Book of Genies, I said it was an ally on the path because really the idea of our path on the path of the light is to find again what we are of all eternity, to become a perfect tool in the arms of our angel, to be really like our angel and right on the earth by our spoken words and a way of living, how we can describe the divine life. We know we haven't been educated in this vision of the world, and we now need to purify and clean ourselves of all the concepts, the art of living that has been the way to smell things and project our future, to create our day, a way of being in our individuality hasn't been transmitted to us. So it is in this cleaning that it's going to be inscribed the Book of Genies. The Book of Genies, his goal is to permit the angel to appear all the worlds that are subtle, that live around man, so that he can attain the omniconsciousness. Omniconsciousness means to be in the permanence of the light in your life by a living alliance and conscious with the angel that he holds. Everything that I'm going to tell you is from the magical books of the Essenes that have been realized by the Hierogrammats of all the conferences that Oliver spoke of these two books. So I'm comparing it one with the other to condense it, to be able to look at both of them and see the utility of both of them. You can get this book with the order of priesthood, actually. So we said the Book of Genies is written with the genies of the Essene nation. It's going to go in the memorial at the end of the Essene's life. It will be the same thing for the Book of Immortality. It's the two books that accompany us and will accompany our Stone of Immortality also. One, the Book of Genies, that is condensed the path, all the consciousness, the steps, the moments where we fall and that we rise again, and that we appear certain forces, the disciplines that we will have practiced to be able to liberate the forces inside of us. And the Book of Immortality, him, will condense all the acts that we did with our life concretely in perfection for the divine world. So for example, In my Book of Genies, I'm going to inscribe with the next 3 days. I'm going to read an entire psalm for the good of the Essene nation. We always do things not for us, but for the good of everyone. Then, in the Book of Immortality, we would write, I participated at the round of archangels of Father Michael, September 2015. So we would write the path that we have done, the discipline maybe that we read of the Psalms would continue to show us and make us celebrate into the round of archangels. So one is disciplines that we give ourselves, and the others are really concrete acts that we do. For example, participating at the transcription of the Conference of Oliver to be able so other Yagramats can make a book or a course is part of a collective book. It won't be in the Book of Genies, it will be in the Book of Immortality. I'll come back now and concentrate myself on the Book of Genies. So in the Book of Genies, it will permit the Essene to cultivate the memory of everything that he is living, everything that he lives, and not only write what we understood or everything that we believe we have gathered wisdom in. We will write our life, our consciousness, a difficulty that we have, an experience that comes back, and that we didn't understand the wisdom, and we can't go beyond the forces that are invisible and behind it. In the Essene life, we want to live in this omnipresence, and we want to see the forces behind it. And when an activity repeats itself is that we haven't seen what is behind it, and we haven't gone forward, and we couldn't transform what needs to be transformed and take the path that is just. So in the Book of Genies, we're going to write really to make appear these forces. So we can write simply that we find ourselves in front of a difficulty. I would like to be able to go to the Masala every week, and we see that there's always something that happens that we can't go. In this book, we would write it. I would like to be able to help me understand Genie of the Light, help me stabilize myself. So it's really a tool where we are on our path. It's also going to be, for example, on the path of training, where you're going to use this book. It will permit you to make appear the forces and go beyond them, and to extract a quintessence of wisdom, meaning in the path of your training of your bodies or senses, you're going to concentrate yourself maybe on the sense of love, and you want to study it more. So all of a sudden you have consciousness that comes and you write it into your book. But for now, it's just the beginning of something that appeared. For now, it touches your consciousness. So we want it to go right to our acts and influence us in the way of walking on earth, in the way of moving, in the way of acting in our daily life. So we want to continue to work with it. So we're going to write into our Book of Genies because we've been conscious of something. And then the more it will go, more consciousnesses or more clarity will come, and by writing it, you will remember it. So it's really a tool of memory to write. The fact of writing will remind you the day you need it. You're no longer in training, and the consciousness that you've experienced in the sense of love will come back to you because you wrote it into your Book of Genies. The genies will influence you. They will come in, speak to you, and remind you of what you wrote consciously in this book. So that's why it will bring you to be in a path that is more conscious and act with more consciousness and remind you that what you understood in the past. So it helps us to go forward, not to always come back to the same consciousness and not use it in your daily life. It's really to use every moment that you are conscious and to pose it on your path. So this Book of Genies is going to permit us to extract this quintessence and the wisdom that is hidden and to progress without stop on the path of light. To extract the quintessence permits us to come out of this circle of experiences that come back again and again, that is like a spiral, until we can attain immortality. The Book of Genies is going to permit us to clean all the worlds that animate the scene. For this, it will permit him to reconquer his creative power, to put the creative power at the service of the Essene nation, the body of God on earth. To reconquer your creative power, we know that we have a baggage of energy. We rise in the morning and our body is animated by many forces. But how am I going to use this? And we see, when we observe ourselves as an Essene, we see that the majority of our activities in our day is to take care of the body, to turn towards the body and the experiences of the world of men. And we want this energy, a percentage of these forces, to serve the light. So, for example, I would want to be able to take 30 minutes in my day to be able to sit and read the Psalms, to sit and study my course of correspondence. The fact of writing in your Book of Genies and to say that we can choose, ask the Book of Genies, what must I work on right now, will permit these genies to communicate with us. It can take many days where we can be conscious of this, but necessarily they will help us. Either it will come in a dream, either it will be in a scene, or our neighbor, or at the market that is going to say something, and that we know that by the writing that we put in the Book of Genies, it is the answer that we were waiting for to take this energy back. So for example, I want to take 30 minutes in my day to study every day. Then maybe someone's going to say, oh, isn't it chaotic when I listen to music? I'm wasting my time. And for us, yes, sometimes I listen to music. And instead of listening to music, then I can take this time to do something else. And I will stop or diminish this time that I'm listening to music and this power, this creative power that I listen to the music with, and I will take it so that I can do my worship and study for 30 minutes a day. So it's really for the Book of Genies going to speak to us, will give us answers to our questions so that we can come out of these circles that are vicious, to always to be able to serve the light even better. So it permits us to reconquer our creative power, to use our energy, our baggage in the day, to give it to the service of the light. It's also a magical method to realize your objectives and to become a magician, a creative magician. For example, to realize your objectives. For example, I want to do my 5 senses in the next 2 years, and to write it magically, concentrated. It's really the intention that we're holding, is that in the year or the 2 years that's going to come, we're going to be influenced by this writing that we have posed. We're going to concentrate ourselves when we're going to spend money, and we're going to remind ourselves of this objective. We're going to organize ourselves and save to be able to do our senses, to have the time. So it's subtle, like a help, but our intention is to pose them in writing, to be able to liberate the forces that would stop us from maintaining our choices to serve the light. So maybe if you have a dream, sometimes you're an artist and you want to put this artistic side at the service of the Essene nation, even if you don't know how concretely and what form it's going to take, just to write it in the Book of Genies is going to help you to liberate, to clarify how and when and how it's going to appear. So the forces are going to appear, and I want to give my gift. And because these are forces and organs that we've worked on in our past lives that have been reactivated in this life that we want to bring to perfection, to the service of our angels. So we name it, even if we don't know what it is concretely. Sometimes people don't use this book because simply they want to be sure of what they're going to write. They want to take an engagement of fear of not being loyal of the writing that they have posed. But the Book of Genie is really a book of the path that we are on, so we can really go with our experience. And with my experience, if I've made a mistake, really we haven't made a mistake. It's really to understand the knowledge behind it. If I've said something to be able to be at the service of with my creativity, the service of the Essene Nation and my artistic side, and all of a sudden I have the impression my vision doesn't permit me to see what I've been able to put at the service of the Essene Nation. Well, maybe we're going to see that my artistic side was really linked to the personality of the world of men. It was my family, and where they use the art. And really, I don't have this. And they will discover maybe that it was an illusion, an appearance. So this spoken word wouldn't have been false. It would have permitted him to realize what animated in the spoken word, his creative power at the service of the nation. And maybe that person will realize that it will be through another path, another force that she'll be able to put forward for the Essene Nation. The importance is to know that this book is for our path, and we can fall, we can make a mistake. I didn't have the patience. I named things without seeing them. I had this sense of taste, but now I pronounce bad spoken words, and I didn't have good judgment. But really we can write it because it's a book of expiation. We're humble. We really feel like we are speaking to a parent. It's like a child that's speaking to a superior being and asking them to help. So you shouldn't be fearful of writing in this book and that it won't be perfect. It's really a book that's going to show us all the path that we're going to go through, that's going to help us to go through all of this and to help us to see what we're going to do concretely in this Book of Immortality also. So I've already talked about this subject, that it's a book of a liberation of the soul, of expiation. The Essene can write all of his experiences that he is living, and even the negative ones. By by writing, he can detach himself of his mortal side, of his identification to the personality created in the world of men, by the world of men. The Book of Genies also permit us to find solutions that would stay inaccessible. By your engagement, by the round of archangels, you have a link, you have the right, and you have access to the genies of the light of the Essene Nation, because you hold on you a writing, an engagement to work on yourself. So when we set it in a vicious cycle, we can't come out of this habit that is like a ritual that has been transmitted to us by the world of men, by our parents, that wasn't in the teaching. We can write that I want to succeed, and I see certain forces inside of me, and I want to succeed to come out of it, to no longer nourish it, and to ask, how can we do this? Because we always have the reference of our education of the world of men. We have the solutions that will come to us, solutions that the world of men will give us, but beyond this, maybe the solution is on the exterior of this. For example, to write in a Book of Genies, like a force, we can receive a discipline, an inspiration that it would be that maybe for this week at night I would take a bath consciously, and I would put water of Gabriel, and in this water I would ask that this force that animates us animate me, liberate me, or maybe realize a ritual, one of the rituals that we have in the books of ceremony. But it would be solutions that our neighbor wouldn't have a tendency to tell us. It would be things that would be for ourselves to liberate the force inside of us. If another is seen, would have to work to expiate impulsivity or impatience, he will explain his path, but maybe it won't be ours. Ours would need to be anchored in another way, and we would need to purify in our way. So it would be sensible also for our path of the light that is in the great common lines, but because we are going through it, what we need to do is personal for us. So the way of going through tests will be personal to us. We can also ask, and is seen by experience, to go through this and do this. I did a ritual of depossession, or I went to the Lake of Gabriel, I went to take care of the plants, whatever. We have our own healings, our way of doing. It just means to be sensible to what is our way and how it can function for us. To no longer nourish these forces. The forces that we nourish has been put inside of us, and we resonate with these forces. And the idea is how we can take away this vibration inside of us and to not attract it either by affinity. So we have our own way of going through our tests and the forces that inhabit us. And this Book of Genies is really going to help us to be inspired, be more personal. I would like to speak of the Book of Immortality now so that you can really see the difference. I'm going to go at the board to resume it a little. The Book of Genies, we can use it as soon as we enter into the round of archangels, because it's at the moment where we pronounce our engagement where we can use the Book of Genies. The Book of Immortality would be the same thing, but it's of course we don't understand in the beginning what's happening when we don't know that when we first enter into the run of archangels that we're going to realize the works of our angels. So we can encourage to wait to have the name of the mother, to do your 4 bodies, so that when we're going to write in this book, we do it with the 4 elements that are activated. But we could use it right in the beginning. What's important for the Book of Immortality, because we're going to talk about everything that we're doing as a communal work, it's important that if we don't even write in this book in the beginning, it's important to talk about and write all the participations in the masalas, all the rounds, the acts where you put your body as a gift to the divine world to participate in this ceremony. You can write it in this book, and we're going to do it chronologically. So the first thing that's going to be written in the Book of Immortality will be the date of our entry into the round of archangels, or the date where we got the good turning of the heart, or we did a first ritual in a masala, even if we weren't in the round of archangels. So this book will be activated before, but we won't write in it before being in the round of archangels. We're still going to write when we entered into the round, but we can give ourselves time. We can say we're going to do the 4 archangels for a year. It would be wise to write it so that you can really do it consciously. The Book of Genies is written that is linked to the genies. And the Book of Immortality, he is written with the angel, with our angel. The two will go in the memorial at our death. And I will let you know later on why, or remind you why. This Book of Genies will remind us of the path that we are going through. What we call mistakes, or even the good moments as well. I even write in the Book of Genies that I started to do a certain sense, and when I succeed and I passed, I received the seed, I will write it in the Book of Genies, because it's a book that emanates the whole path, but I write it anyways. But it's also going to be found inside this book also. The Book of Immortality is destined to conserve the divine memory beyond death. It contains what the Essene has done for God in his life, his offerings, concrete offerings that he's done for God to give him a body. It contains facts and acts. It contains works. The Book of Genies, the path that has been taken, the idea is really to retransform everything, to make appear things. So we're going to see the forces appear. To transform them. And it's going to bring us to pose, acts, works, and to engage ourselves. So it could be works that are collective, or more individual. An individual work, I'm going to give you a concrete example. For example, the person that's going to realize the statues of the work of the light. Well, it's not everyone that's going to be able to do this. You still have to have a gift of doing a statue, to be able to reproduce it, to be able to follow the rhythm. So it would be an individual work, but a collective work would be the transcription of the conferences of Oliver, so that we can one day make a book, or to study, or to permit an Essene to do a conference on the theme. It's still a path that we made appear, forces, we transform them, and it made that our creative energy was available to be able to do this concrete act. So these two books are really extremely linked. The Book of Immortality really has works that are finalized. In an ideal, there will be a being that will be apt, like when a soul would be incarnated, will be able to see to what Book of Genies and immortality this soul is linked to. We're going to imagine that we're really at the beginning. We don't really have many minerals and stones with these two books in the memorial, but we really want to be able to attain this writing of our angel in perfection, to always be in this energy. So we have many lives to work on this. So that's why these two books is really the continuation of the body. The body is only a tool of our angel, of our soul. I'm going to die. I will be reincarnated. The soul will reincarnate. The body will just be a new tool. And we will be able to give these two books to the being at the time. We'll be able to read the path and awaken the writings that she would have written and what she's done and remind herself. And she won't be able to lose herself on the path and what I want to do in the Essene Nation. For us today, of course, we're there. Really, what do I want to offer to the Essene Nation? How am I going to manifest the body of God on earth? What is my participation? Well, then, with our Book of Genies Immortality, one will have a priest and priestesses that will be able to give them to the children by knowing that it's a reincarnation. We're not there yet, but we're the first series, I guess. The people, the year of 2000 and 2020 and 2030, and when people will reincarnate themselves, and already have written in these books, they will be able to come back to what they've done, and they will just be in continuation. They won't make the same mistakes. They won't learn things all over again. That's the difficulty, is that in this cycle, on the boat, we really always have to make ourselves a physical body of emotion, of thoughts, of individuality. But it could be done rapidly, because the cycle of 7 years won't be the same cycle, and it can go faster because we'll always have this body that came from our past lives, and it can be activated. Like Oliver, when he's 12 years old, he's already touched by his angels. It means that in his other lives, he's worked on this. It's really an accumulation of our lives and of our experiences, and then we can activate ourselves more rapidly. So these books will serve us, so that when you come back, you can activate and pursue your path more rapidly. So that's how these two books are linked. One will be used as soon as we enter, because we want to make appear these forces. We want to transform them. We want to be conscious that we are linked to the genies, and it's them that's going to help us in our daily lives and respond or answer our questions. And we can write our weaknesses and ask how to transform them. It will be in the memorial also, because it's our path. All this work will permit us to pose concrete acts, and to come to all the round of archangels, to say that my work in the world of men, I give it to, I can't work with the world of men, the divine world yet, but my work in the world of men will be there to help with the temple of the light, and I will give money by knowing the intention that is at the service of the light. That's acts, it's to work, to give money for a temple. It will be written in the Book of Immortality. I participated to make appear the temple of the light by the creative energy that was money, even if it was one in the world of men. It's not money that is dirty, because I don't have the means yet of realizing a work completely into the Essene Nation. Then I pay my taxes to the divine world, and I permit the world of the light to appear, like in the form of a temple. So that's how the Book of Genies and Immortality needs to be looked at and used also. For me, on the path of the training, and even today afterwards, I come back to certain moments. I feel that I have a weakness. I'm going to use it like an oracle, like Psalms for the Essenes. We want an answer by opening them. I feel that I'm going to go in this book and open it and go read something again. And I see, and I remind myself a test. And yes, of course, it was the solution that I found, but I felt it's the same thing that comes back, but more subtly, so I can be able to go beyond it, because I wrote it down. What, for me, the difference that I've seen when I wrote in the Book of Immortality is that the rhythm that I took, because I'm going to tell you, when we write in these two books, the Book of Immortality, I have a rhythm of once a year that at the end of the trainings in the summer, I rewrite everything that I would have done in the year, simply because it's a ritual that is, we really do magical calligraphy the 2 times, but in the Book of Immortality, we're really going to take a time of concentration where we're going to be with the magical ink to write in it. We don't want to make a mistake. We really try to be the most concentrated. But in the Book of Genies, we have a tendency to have it beside us so that when we wake up at night, we can put the dream that we just had, because our dreams are really a vision of the forces that animated us during the day. And I want to be conscious of this because I know what I lived in the day will influence the next one. So of course I'm not going to write it this consciously the same way with the ink, but I'm going to write with a pencil, and I will consecrate it with the balm of archangels, and he will be part of this book that I will keep together, and I will only write with this pencil in the Book of Genies, and the consecrated act will be done with this pencil, and I will bring it in a conference, and I can write consciously what happened or what I learned in this book. It will come back. It's a communication. It's like a being, a friend that reminds you, remember you were conscious of something like this, so you act differently, and it changes with us, around us. The writings change, the forces that write around us, the spirits, the genies, and the egregores that we write our daily lives with. So in the Book of Immortality, I took a rhythm of really once a year, because it's a moment where you're going to sit down with the magical ink, and we're really going to inscribe everything in the year. I know it on a piece of paper, and I put it in the book, and at the end of the year it's like a training, and a new year starts with Michael. So I really want to write before the celebration, and what I want to realize the next year will also be something that I will write. What I would like to realize in a year on the path of the light, well, you can write it at that moment. I know that the things that I want, I will be able to, and I will put something around that writing so that I can come back to it simply during the year. Since I've been writing in the Book of Immortality, I'm a lot less tested, because on the path there's so many things, because we really have to be humble, because we have so many things we need to transform. And we know sometimes things happen and there's a rock that just falls on our head, but it's a chance when something appears. And instead of being weakened by something that happened, in the Book of Immortality, everything that we have done, the acts that we've done for the light, they are with me. I felt that it was with me, and it's my sensibility. It can act this way by writing in this book the before and the after, when I wrote everything, and even every year when I rewrite this. Well, I see when I reconfirm my engagement, and I see myself pronounce my entry into the round of archangels, and I would do it for each and every one of us, and I see what I've done for the community. I remind myself of what I participated in. So in a moment of test, it's important to remind ourselves of what we've done, and the Book of Immortality is linked to us, and it needs to be consecrated and linked with your being, with your path. So it's going to be a force that's going to speak to you at the moment of the test. When he isn't activated and it hasn't been written inside, it won't be able to activate itself in the same way. I really see the difference where I decide to write a force in the Book of Genies, and when that force comes back, well, I see it more evidently. It's like a light that was put on it, and now I can see it, that it's the genies that come and put this in a light, and they remind me, you wanted to work on this force, so now I can be calmer, breathe, and change my attitude with what's presenting itself. Well, I can ask myself inside if I can't, and have the time, the consciousness, even if it's a microsecond, to be conscious, and by knowing that the force is on the outside and we are imprisoned by it. So this is the difference between the Book of Genies and the Book of Immortality. The Book of Genies, you're going to conserve it close to you. It could be protected also of all the people that go by and can read on it. And the Book of Immortality, well, I'm going to tell you that it's going to be protected, because in the Book of Immortality, I'd ask you to protect it and hide it, because you're going to inscribe your name of the mother when you're going to have it, and you're going to write everything that you've done. It's going to say very personally. We don't want to appear with everything that we've done and the works we've done. It's really an offering that we are giving to the divine world, and it belongs to us. So the Book of Immortality will be hidden and protected, and the Book of Genies will be a book that we're going to use almost every day, so that for someone that will be able to use this tool on the path of the light. So it's really a tool to see, to make appear the forces, and to help us memorize it. It's really a memory there. So concretely, it's the path and what it permits us to realize after the works. All of this is inscribed in a memory that in the next life we come back, we give us the work that we've done, and we continue. We won't have to do it all over again. Well, it will have been done, what has been contained in it. It will be like concrete, and we can continue. Maybe it's a little long as a presentation, but I hope that it will help you clarify what is the Book of Genies and why we would use it, and it would serve us to be able to realize works, and that we can pose in our Book of Immortality that will follow us from life to life. With this, I'm wishing you a beautiful day, and we'll see each other for other videos. Thank you very much. Always to stay concretely, I'm just going to show you the Book of Genies and the Book of Immortality. The Book of Immortality, we receive it when we're going to order our 2 stones of our angels that will be in the temple, and the other that's going to follow in our celebrations and the worship of the light of every day. They appear in the same way. So it's really a book that was done and consecrated by the priest, like I said, with all the writings. We have the 4 representations of the 4 elements, the 4 letters of the name of God. In this book, when you're going to start it, it is written in our small book. You can say that I am in a scene. When you don't have the name of the mother, we are not going to say to the world, like we're speaking to the genies, we're in communication with them, but we'll say, who is at the end of the phone? I am in a scene, because the genies are going to speak to the beings that are engaged for the light. I am in a scene. It's important to say this. There's a second formula where we can say, by the spirits of fire, of air, water, and earth. And we start. We link ourselves to the spirits of the 4 elements that are pure inside of us, even that we've activated or not our bodies and our intention. That's to these forces of the spirits of these 4 elements that we want to write into our book. So we can start by this sentence, or with in the Book of Genies. In the Book of Immortality would be more like a form of facts. And like I said it, we would say, for example, I am in a scene. I have entered into the round of archangels the 30th of March in a certain year. Even if you don't put by the spirit of all the elements consciously, you're going to be linked by, we will be still linked by these elements when we are writing in the Book of Immortality. But if we needed a second book of Genies or Immortality, perhaps, that can happen. I'm telling you, I'm far from this, but in many lives we're going to need many books. There's always a ritual of consecration. At the first, you're going to use it. It's been consecrated in a temple just like the stones also to keep this memory. At the ceremony of the round of archangels, you took a balm and you consecrated for your angel by your energy. So to you need to individualize it. So the Book of Genies, I consecrate this book to the angel of humility in the round of archangels, Isabel Humility. And I will personalize it. I can put the mandala of my angel, but I need to personalize it and appropriate it. Because in the beginning, when he's in the boutique, it's all books that are consecrated, but they don't know with who they're going to be with and communicate with. So it's really a tool that is precise between us and the genies of the light, and us and our angel for the Book of Immortality. So we need to consecrate it with balm of archangel, with a simple sentence that we consecrate this book to, and we name our angel. So there. It's really, the Book of Genies could be another book, but ideally without seal, without a writing, because we know all the logos of the world of men is seals that can seed us, so there's an energy behind it. So the ideal is always to have a book that is the most virgin, with no writings, and that you could consecrate with either the flag or the elements, or really symbols that are seen, so that this book can be personalized, identified to the seen nation. So our Book of Genies, the same thing that you've personalized. You will take balm of archangels and you will consecrate it to your work, to you, so it doesn't share with someone else. In a ceremony, for example, the ceremony of the 7 rituals of expiation with the 2 serpents, we need to go on this path with our book, and we're showing that it's our book that is consecrated, and we can't do it with someone else's. It's better not to have it than to do it with something that is individualized for yourself. You hold it in your heart in their ceremony if you don't have it, but we couldn't take our neighbors. It really becomes personal to us. If not, what I could add, yes, something that's important is that all the work that you will do with the genies, you're going to name disciplines to reinforce your will, to show the forces of the light. The more you're going to put them in victory, either you put a discipline for 3 days that you would read your psalm, for example, what you put in your book, and you can do it. You know that when you're going to rewrite in your Book of Genies, they've seen that you followed your spoken words, that you went right to the end, right to your act, and they become more powerful and help you. It's like a link of fidelity between you and them. It's a relationship that is very concrete, that's of confidence, that's going to establish, because what you're going to write, they know that you're going to work and trying to realize it. So we're going to give you the tools and give you answers. You're going to develop a sensibility and affinity together, a message that is linked to the disciplines that you're going to put in your book. So if you work on a force, for example, I see that we would always say that the divine world gives you 3 chances. 3 times it's going to say, be careful, hey, be careful, hey, be careful. And after the 3rd time, if you don't listen, then a parent can stop. But the genies, it's effectively the same thing, but positively. If you say that I'm going to realize this, and you can do it, and they're going to help you with more force, and you're going to understand, you're going to discover how a genie influences us in a day to always serve and to be linked with the true being that we are inside of us and what is hidden. So I'm inviting you really to do the experience of taking this communication with the genies to have more strength and to be in discernment, to be awakened of the forces that acts all around us. It's really a path that brings us in wisdom to be able to pose acts and work at the service of the light. So I'm wishing you to have fun with this relationship, but to be true, to write with all simplicity, with all humility, with what you need to work on, and in the beginning to be humble and to give you small disciplines to really come to it, to be certain. We're not starting with 21 days of ceremony of ritual of expiation with the serpents, you have to give you small routines because we spoke of this creative energy that we want to take again, and with small works, with small disciplines that we can do. And every day or every week or every month, we rewrite into this book and we give ourselves another discipline. And what we must see is, by giving us a discipline, necessarily the genies will make appear the forces that will stop us from making them appear or realize. For a long discipline, it takes a lot of concentration. It can be more difficult to realize, so it's maybe longer in the training that we can do these disciplines. So be soft with yourself. Give yourself disciplines that are small, and just like a child that is starting to walk for 1 kilometer, then 2, 3, and 4. Well, it's a little bit like this for us on the path of transformation of the forces that animate us. So there were the small details that I wanted to add to this video by presenting the Book of Genies and Immortality.